Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. Now, this is part 3 of the original Dollhouse tour, and we start this portion in my original Dollhouse kitchen. Now, dolls, my original Dollhouse kitchen was pretty small. It doesn't have an eat-in area. It's primarily for cooking and preparing food. And right now, I'm just giving you a close-up look to the stove and the little shelf I made from a furniture component. And I'm just giving you a quick overview of the whole room, the wallpaper, the chandelier, before I begin to take things out and show you the details. Now, dolls, during my 2020 renovation, I kept the wallpaper in this room, but I did add a new floor. But I'm just showing you the things on the walls, picture, the clock, and all the lovely things that I created and collected over the years. There's fresh cabbage and tomatoes on the sink ready to be cleaned, food on the shelves, and that shelf I made out of some random scraps of wood, and then filled it with all my little treasures. That's before I knew how to make doors, dolls. So letting you just get a good look at everything. And there's my original broom. Wow, who knew the broom would be famous one day? And there's a shelf and a scrub brush. And there's my little ice box with a latch in the corner, and a little hutch there with all kinds of accessories on it that I modified many years ago. Let me see if I can get you dolls in here closer to the things on that hutch. I really want you to see how I set it up inside there. There's a rolling pin, some eggs, things on the shelf that I bought and made. And I've got sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, and carrots, eggs, and butter. And also a little cookbook on top of the ice box. So now let me give you a closer look at some of the things that are on the stove. I apologize for my camera work, dolls. I'm trying to get better. And there's the little shelf on the stove. Got food cooking, pots going. Looks like somebody didn't come down for their breakfast. I see 2 plates, one with pancakes and the other with eggs. There's even a baby food jar. It's so wonderful doing this tour. I have so many things that I've forgotten I collected. So that was my overview of the original Dollhouse kitchen. So let's get to those details. Now, dolls, here is one of the lovely puppies that's in my kitchen. Now, dolls, in reality, I'm allergic to dogs. I can't even have dogs around me or I'll get really sick. But in the Dollhouse, I'm safe. Now, the first dog came in a bundle of craft items that I got off of eBay, just a bundle, a bulk of crafting supplies, and he was in there. The small metal white dog was in a bundle of beautiful furniture. Now, here is a little stool that I had for many, many years. And when I discovered the product called Crackle, this was the first item that I used it on to see how it worked. I was really, really pleased. And at that point, I knew I was on to something. That's probably one of the only things that was aged on purpose. And here, dolls, was my original broom. My original broom in the original Dollhouse. It's almost exactly the same as the ones that I made here on the channel. I really haven't changed my technique very much because I really like the result. And here is a lovely basket of fresh fruit and vegetables. And this lovely basket, I remember it being given to me by, again, that childhood friend named Nancy. If you're watching, Nancy, thank you. And these are some little random corns I made. And yeah, another little random piece of corn. Again, dolls, those were my beginning years of making fruits and vegetables. And I just filled the little basket with all the remnant pieces that I had. There's a little sad tomato, a random carrot, and another little random tomato that I actually purchased from somewhere, which was why I start trying to make my fruits and vegetables. So, dolls, I never throw my extras, my remnants, or my beginner pieces away because they act as really nice fillers for baskets and things. Now, here's a really nice chair that I purchased. It's actually a newer chair, and I actually tried to do a little distressing actually before I learned about Crackle. And I want you dolls to take notice. There's that green paint again. Wow, I had almost forgotten about this piece and how it was made. And it was actually made from some leftover wood pieces from a piece of furniture. Now, I purchased that little can of Comet. I thought it was adorable. And I made this little scrub brush out of some wood and some tired makeup brush bristles. I thought it turned out kind of cute. I just realized this dollhouse doesn't have a bucket. Now here's a cute little picture of grapes I made out of some scrap wood and a picture out of a magazine. And the edges of the frame, I actually gilded it with nail art foil, trying to make it look a little vintage. I always loved this picture, dolls. I thought it was perfect for the kitchen. And here's an example, dolls, of how I tell you you can find miniatures anywhere. This clock actually belonged to my grandmother. I found it among her things after she passed, and I kept it for many, many years in my jewelry box. And then one day I looked at it and decided it was the perfect size and shape for my original dollhouse kitchen. Dolls, I want you to open your imagination to see things not just for what they are, but for what they could be. Now here is the crown of my kitchen, dolls. This is a very, very special piece. But before I talk about the stove, let me show you what's on it and in it. So let's start with the stove top. Now, dolls, I had started filling pots with food a long, long time ago. So let me show you what I got here. Now, dolls, here I have a tiny jar of baby food. I have no idea where I got that from, but I know I've had it a long time. There are instances, dolls, when you see something really unusual and very rare, get it because you may never see it again. Now, this was my first example of food. This food was purchased like this, but it was my original inspiration to start adding food to my pots and plates. And there was a time when some of the food fell off of one of the plates, and I added my own version of chocolate covered pancakes. Yes, chocolate, dolls, because I absolutely love chocolate and I preferred chocolate over syrup. So there you have it, chocolate covered pancakes. So again, those were my beginnings to inspiring me to make food for my plates and pots in my original dollhouse. Okay, so here's a pot full of something. I really can't call it, dolls. I don't know whether it's supposed to be cabbage and meat or green beans. Not sure, dolls, but I was trying. Now here is a lovely little cast iron coffee pot, or percolator is what they called them in my days. See, dolls, I told you I didn't get rid of anything. You have to keep the things that show you your beginning so you can see how much you've grown. So, yeah, this is a pot of something. And you can see this looks pretty old. It looks like it's stuff stuck all around the sides. I can't even call it, dolls. But yeah, I've been filling pots for some time now, but only using the materials I had. That was a beautiful little pot, though. I was really pleased to realize this little copper pot was empty. It's got a little tired little spoon in it, but it's clean, it's not aged or distressed. So it actually can be filled with something that I can make now, but that's really cute. Now, I told you, dolls, how important chocolate was in my house. So yes, I had to have a small replica of the Hershey's chocolate powder. So now let's get a good look at this 45-year-old stove. Considering what it's been through, it looks really good. Oh my goodness, I actually have something inside. One moment, dolls, I gotta pull it out so you can see. Wow, it was my early days with polymer clay. I was trying to make some type of roast or leg of something. Yeah, dolls, that was an early piece of meat after I discovered polymer clay. Again, this is why I say keep your early pieces, dolls, so you can see your progress. So now that I've removed a lot of the accessories, this is the stove, my beloved cast iron enamel covered Roper stove. Now, dolls, this was a big deal for me as a little girl. When Daddy gave me this, I just felt so special because I felt like the pieces he was buying me were not toys. I could tell this wasn't a toy. And I treated it very well. For it to be 45 years old, it's very minimal chips on it. I didn't mess it up, and I felt really proud of myself for that. It had real working doors and it was heavy and it just looked real to me. And it made me feel really, really special that he would buy me something that I considered so expensive. Yeah, I don't think Mom was too happy about this purchase because it was pretty extravagant for a 10-year-old child to play with. But I respected it and cared for it, unlike many of the other pieces Daddy bought for me. And here it is. I've put the accessories back on. But again, dolls, this is my beloved Roper stove. It is officially an antique. That's the second chair, but it's just like the first one. So here, dolls, I'm going to show you my sink. But first, let me show you some of the accessories on the sink. This was my first cabbage, or maybe it's lettuce, that I made from polymer clay. And these are the pipes. They're actually metal to the ceramic sink. Now, I actually tried to make it look as though water was running in the sink, and what you see there is hot glue, which is what I had before resin. Don't know what type of water bubbles up like that instead of spreading out, but we're not going to talk about it, dolls. It's all I had. And now here's a full view of the sink from above. It's a lovely sink, very realistic. I absolutely love it. It's very delicate. I love the metal legs, the ceramic body. It really gives a realistic silhouette in the kitchen, and it was the perfect size. Again, dolls, I told you my dad didn't buy me toys. This is made of ceramic, so I could have broken it very easily, but it was special to me, so I kept it safe. Just kind of zooming in on some of the items in the sink, like the little lonely carrot and that onion. And there even appears to be a grape or a blueberry in the sink. And this is a lovely silver pitcher that I got from that childhood friend named Nancy. Nancy's mom was an antique silver dealer, so she was around antiques and all types of lovely things all the time. So I'm sure she found it on one of their outings. If you're out there, Nancy, thank you, and let me know you saw this in the comments. And here's a little cleaver I purchased. That was before I knew how to make my own knives and cutlery. And there, dolls, is another one of my little sad tomatoes I made. And dolls, I also want you to take note of these large, out of scale silverware I have on the sink. But dolls, at the time, that's all I had. So I love them and I keep them right here on the sink. Maybe they're serving utensils. And I'm not sure where I got that little piece of cloth from, but that was my version of a dishcloth in those days. And I found more sad tomatoes in a colander. And that's it for the original Dollhouse sink. Now let's look at the ice box. Remember, dolls, I told you this one had a latch to it. I didn't need any magnets to keep this one closed. And look what I found in the corner of the original Dollhouse kitchen. A mouse trap. Oh my goodness. I made that so many years ago. I never found any mice in the original Dollhouse, but I guess I wanted to have the trap just in case. It's made of copper jury wire and a scrap piece of wood. The cheese is clearly a piece of paper. It amuses me how vivid my imagination was back then. So let's see what's inside this ice box. Oh my, how delicious. Sweet potatoes and a lettuce. I'm definitely going to have to do better with my doll's meal planning in this house. Two random things that don't go together. So this is clearly a bowl of candied sweet potatoes. Yes, dolls, I love sweet potatoes. And this is my very first lettuce, but I did not make this from polymer clay. This lettuce was made from a medium called bread dough. In the 70s, there was a recipe for a mixture of white bread insides, glue, and dishwashing liquid, and it would make a clay. And so I'm just comparing the bread dough lettuce to the polymer clay lettuce. And I'm comparing not for the quality of the mediums, but to see my own growth. Let's see what else is inside. And here is my chunk of ice in the freezer. It's quite a bit different from the ice that I made for the rooming house, but that's what Dad bought me back in those days. It was made out of some kind of plastic or resin. And in the freezer, there's a bowl of stir fry. So again, dolls, I told you I've been making food for quite some time. This bowl is actually ceramic. I made it in a pottery or ceramics class in elementary school. So let me put the ice back before it melts. Now on top of the little ice box was a little cookbook I made. You probably recognize this fabric from a couple of the dishcloths in the rooming house dollhouse. And here's a full view of the original dollhouse ice box. And there's the freezer where the ice cube is. And this is the outside and the sides. So it has really stood up really well to all the years, but I was very careful with it because it was precious to me. And here is the tray at the bottom that's supposed to catch the water as the ice melts. The ice box in the rooming house doesn't have a tray like this. I wonder where that water is supposed to go. So here is a last full overview of the original dollhouse icebox. That's inside, that's outside, the latch, and the freezer door. Last but not least, the original dollhouse kitchen hutch. Now dolls, I love this little hutch, and I'm just showing you some of the accessories on top. And it's funny because when I purchased this, it didn't look anything like it looks right now. Dolls, I was really big on modifying things to suit my own taste. Now, when I got it, it was all a natural color. I painted it dark on the doors like that because I didn't like the plain look. And I actually added wallpaper to that back shelf. Now, all the things on the counter I made. That little sad crate there, I made it with coffee stir sticks, and I did make all of those fruits and vegetables out of a mixture of polymer clay and bread dough. And I'm laughing looking at the little crate. That actually was distressed and made to look old. Wow, I guess I was doing some distressing back in those days. I definitely knew how to make things look dirty. Now from this view, you can see the lower doors. And you can see that wallpaper more. I made those eggs and the butter and that rolling pin. It didn't come like that. I painted it to look like that. So let's peek inside the cabinets and see what's inside. Okay, so I'm a little disappointed because it's just some balled up rags shoved in there and nothing in the other cabinet. So, okay. I didn't really have anything, so I just tucked some old cloths in there. I guess that would come in handy for cleaning up, but I don't think I would keep them in the cabinets at this point. And down here, okay, I do have some things here. Now, dolls, you know that's from the 70s. Tang and PDQ chocolate milk. Yeah, I definitely bought those in the 70s at a store called Frank's Nursery and Crafts. They had a little miniature section, and I would save up any leftover money I had to purchase things when we went there. I did make those pencil top cans, though. The drawers are empty. Maybe that'll be a whole project, dolls, filling the drawers in the original dollhouse. So I have to keep that in mind for a future video. Now I want you to look closely at these legs. These are not the original legs to this cabinet. So, alert dolls, I carved those little legs specifically for this cabinet. I wanted the cabinet to be taller. So I took a piece of wooden stick and drew out my design and gently carved it. I'm not sure exactly how old I was, but I definitely had access to a sharp knife. But yeah, I needed my cabinet to be taller. So I was learning to take my time to change things to suit my taste. I always felt like the cabinet was too short, so I made it taller. So let me pull it back so you can see a full view of this little hutch that I modified. And the cheese grater and items on top, definitely Frank's Nursery item or some catalog mail order item. So this is a full close-up look at the modified hutch, the accessories. Yeah, I love that little hutch. So let me move this out of the way so you can see inside the kitchen with all the contents removed. So dolls, I want you to take note of my floor. I just added that in 2020. It had a totally different floor, and I never really liked the original floor that I put in, but I really like this one. And I pushed the kitchen door open so you can really look at the door and see that there's no hardware and no doorknobs on the doors. When I was a little girl, the kitchen door swung both ways and it didn't have a knob. I better start putting things back. The residents will be home soon. Now, before we go, I just wanted to show you dolls this little shelf I made. The shelf isn't very much, but I love the little items, my little treasures that I have on there. I've got oats and vinegar. Although this kitchen is small, it's well stocked. Dolls, I'm trying to put things in its proper place because I don't want the residents to keep me from doing the last 2 rooms of our tour. So as I put all my items back, dolls, I'm remembering one thing I didn't show you because I wasn't particularly proud of it, and I'm actually feeling like the fact that I didn't want to show you, I probably need to do it as a video or a project of how to fix something like this. But what it was, dolls, my kitchen curtains are quite pre-K, and although for a long time I thought they were really cute, when I look at them now, they kind of agitate me. So I'm definitely feeling like it's something I need to change. So we'll definitely do a video to fix that. And lastly, my original Dollhouse phone. So that concludes the original Dollhouse kitchen tour. Now, if you dolls enjoyed this video, definitely let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. And always look for me on Mondays and Wednesdays after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, dolls, we have 2 more rooms to see in the original Dollhouse tour. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.